said.
There it is.
Hey folks, man, this is Cory, and we're back with another Classes of Cinematics. It's a podcast where we talk about classic films. And I'm joined as always with my co-host Bobby Blockbuster.
Yo.
And today we've got Maria from Concentrated Podcast joining us.
What's going on, everybody?
Yeah, and we're here to talk about 1984's A Nightmare on Elm Street by Wes Craven. You know, and I just want to take a few minutes to let Maria tell you folks about her show, the Concentrated Podcast, and I guess give the people a little bit of information about that.
Yeah, no doubt. So Concentrated Podcast is myself, Eric, and Manira. We basically talk about all types of nerd shit, or just whatever we feel like talking about that week from the perspective of nerds of color. So sometimes it's movie reviews, sometimes it's comic book reviews, sometimes it's show reviews, sometimes it's us playing trivia against each other and calling each other terrible names. You never know what you're going to get, but it's always a fun time. So definitely you can find us pretty much on every single streaming service. We're the Concentrated Podcast, and you can find us on social media, Twitter, Instagram. Our handle on both is @ConcentratedPod.
Yeah, that's what's up. Definitely check it out, folks. It's one of my favorite podcasts, and it's always a good time. You know, even if they're talking about stuff you're not necessarily into, you're gonna have a fun time listening to them.
No doubt.
But yeah, so let's get to this film. So Nightmare on Elm Street came out in 1984. So the plot concerns 4 teenagers living on one street in the fictitious town of Springwood, Ohio, who are invaded and killed in their dreams and thus killed in reality by a burnt killer with a bladed leather glove. It's also one of the first films produced by New Line Cinema. And at that point, they had been mostly distributing films. So this was actually their first really big hit, you know? And it led to them becoming a successful studio after that. Like a lot of people say that New Line is the house that Freddy built, you know what I'm saying? So that's an interesting fact. But yeah, they shot this thing on a shoestring budget, and it did crazy well for them. But let's talk about this film, man. Like, I think this is a classic of the genre. For one, we get introduced to a new killer, who is Freddy, and that stands out to me. But also, for the slasher genre, I think this was a nice twist to mix up for the simple fact that it wasn't really a place you had to go to encounter this killer, and
right.
And this killer kind of came at you in your dreams. And that's kind of an interesting premise because everyone has to sleep. And this drove me nuts as a kid. Like, it probably scared me more than any of them, you know?
Right. And another cool thing is with this one, they also they gave us, a signature item, whereas, Michael Myers had the mask. They created this glove weapon for him. Like, I mean, I love the intro of this film because it actually shows him, making the glove. So not only is he a killer and he's some kind of demonic person that can get into your dreams, but he's also a master welder because he created this glove from scratch. And that's really cool. It was real creepy as they've given us that intro. So it kind of gives you that, oh, well, what's going to happen next? So they did a great job setting the tone for this killer and starting this movie off properly.
Yeah. Go ahead, Maria.
No, all I was going to say is, I love how professional you guys have handled this intro, because here's all you really need to know. We can start here. We'll probably end up here again. If you are a child of the 70s and 80s, this movie is probably the first movie that truly scared the entire living shit out of you. And there was no way that you saw this if you had the privilege of seeing it in 1984, and I know I'm dating myself because I did, and there was no sleep for days on end. It was a wrap. And so for New Line and Wes Craven to come in with this movie, which as you guys have said, was really still a slasher movie, but it was so different from every other slasher movie that there was, that there was just no escaping being terrified of Freddy Krueger.
Yeah,
that's.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, that's when you've created something special.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, this is the one where I was hitting the light switch and running to the bed. Like, I remember that for about a good week. Until finally, I was like, all right, he ain't got me yet. It must be good.
Well, I think too, also our parents, they were dead ass wrong for letting us watch this shit. No child should have seen this movie.
Yeah.
I got a theory on that. I think parents did that because then they got something in their pocket they could hit you with later. So Freddy's gonna get you.
If you don't finish your vegetables.
Right?
You are in for it tonight.
but honestly, the thing about it too that I realized, like I was terrified of a lot of this stuff when I was younger, but then when I got older and started going back and rewatching it, I'm like, man, some of this is kind of silly. And why was I scared? So it makes sense to why they were enjoying these films on a different level than I was as a kid. Like for them, it was all fun and games, especially when we get later in this film, some of the gags that Freddy will pull, and that I can see that, but for us, this was nightmare fodder, literally.
I mean, and ultimately, this is just it's a testament to what Robert Englund brought to the character, because I mean, he fully embodied Freddy. He wasn't just like with Michael Myers or even with Jason, they didn't talk, where Freddy would crack jokes at you while just doing this most off the wall shit. And and he always had this sinister smile, the laugh. I mean, everything that Robert Englund brought to the character to really bring him to life. I think that all just really plays into why he was so creepy and one of the most memorable slashers of all of them, honestly.
Yeah, I do want to point out this cast, which I forgot to do in the intro, but we've got Robert Englund, who's playing the killer Freddy Krueger. We got Heather Langenkamp, who plays Nancy, who's the main character in this film. That he's it's her and her circle of friends that Freddy's been going after. We also get Johnny Depp. I believe that's her boyfriend in this film, and it's also Johnny Depp's
and that's his first movie. Yeah.
We get John Saxon, who's an OG from Enter the Dragon and a bunch of stuff in the 70s, but he plays Nancy's father. Amanda Weiss, who's also a friend. Get Marge Thompson, and just the rest of the characters. I got to point out my man Rod, played by Sue Garcia. I think those are the mains right there.
One more. I noticed Lynn Shay is actually the teacher, which now she's kind of also a horror figure. She was the older woman, hideous franchises and all those things. And when I was watching it just this time around, it always slipped my mind. I was like, damn, that's my girl from Insidious and stuff.
Yep.
Oh, all right, rock on.
Yeah. So it's crazy. But yeah, the dream thing just trips me out. I love the way they play around with this too, because just the sight gags, and oftentimes it can happen anywhere, because clearly there's a scene where Nancy falls asleep in class, and you really don't know that they're in this dream world until you see something weird, like a dream you have, or Freddy pops up with the gag, because it opens up with him doing the glove, but then we get the one friend's Tina's her first experience with him, and it's crazy because you realize she sees this figure with this hat on, he's messing around with her. I always thought that gag was great, where he's scraping the walls, making noises as his blades on his glove are hitting the wall, and then the one scene where his arms are super long and he's
that's my favorite.
That was awesome. And then he starts chasing her with the long ball. Giggling and shit.
Looking like a damn Pokemon, just running with the arms going.
And I think that was so great for them to do that and play around with this character in that way, because it really does separate. Because everyone else up to this point, they're just regular people that just happen to kill people, or maybe they've got a mask on. But giving Freddy these extra powers and putting him in this dream world that he controls, and it's dope, because basically if you die in the dream, you die in real life, so that's kind of a interesting aspect. You can't see him unless you're in that dream world, which is crazy.
Also, another quick thing, just in the same wheelhouse, that is also when we get introduced to how naive or not stupid is not the right word, how the parents are acting like just so oblivious to what's really going on, and how the teenagers that are dealing with Freddy are kind of on an island by themselves. It seems like the parents don't believe them in any way, shape, or form, and oh, you're going crazy, this, that, or whatever. I mean, even when we get Tina's first dream, she wakes up and has the slash marks on her stomach. And her mom comes in and is like, oh, try not to drink so much, and you got to cut your nails. Let me go back to this dude I got in the back room there, Right. What, you just don't really give no F's about the fact your daughter, it looked like she just swam in a pool of sweat and her clothes was all ripped up.
And the crazy thing about it is what makes it's very interesting. Like if you watch any Japanese movies, any movie with young people, teenagers, there is this incredible mistrust or distrust of adults and authority figures. And it's prevalent in almost every genre of Japanese film, whether it's horror, drama, action, whatever, where there are young people involved. And I find it really interesting because it wasn't until the rewatch of this that it hit me that like this is one of the first American movies that I remember ever seeing where you see like those deep-seated, like just trust issues with adults, because to Bobby's point, adults are supposed to protect you. And here they're all acting like they don't know what the fuck is going on when they know who Freddy is. You know what I mean? And so for them to sit there and act like kids, you're crazy. Like it is the ultimate betrayal at that level.
And just to piggyback on your point, not only do they know who he is, but they also know what's motivating him and why he's doing the things that he's doing. And just to make all the kids at that time just feel like, they're tripping or they're going crazy. Like, what's the point of sending them to the doctor when you can just sit down and have a conversation?
You know what it is? I don't think the parents knew that how he was manifesting himself this time around. Like we get to find out that the parents eventually, teamed up to go after Freddy because he was killing kids in the neighborhood, at one point. But then he comes back in this other form, and for them, they're like, oh, they're just dreaming about this story about this guy that we dealt with back in the past. They don't know that he's actually, can harm them and hurt them, and like the way he's you know what I'm saying, the way he's pulling it.
But that's ridiculous because the kids would have no idea who he is because they've wiped the history.
Yeah, the kids don't have a name either, though, to present themselves with. They just know, I'm having these weird dreams.
I mean, but here's the thing, some things are just beyond coincidence. I mean, when the parents took him out, he was killing kids, and now he's killing kids again. And
your kids, he's killing your kids.
Your kids. Exactly. I mean, it takes a while before we get to find out who Freddy is because like I said, we got a couple bodies at first, and at first it just looks like, like my poor man Rod. Like
they said he took Tina out.
Yeah, so Tina,
he cut her up with a straight razor. We ain't find no knife on the scene.
Tina's our first killing, and honestly, rewatching this, I thought that was amazing how they shot that.
Yes,
because basically, like it might have been some early wire work. Like this is first, and I'm looking at this, and like her body gets lifted off the bed. As Freddy's coming out in a dream, and this is after her and Rod have sex. So we're also hitting that horror trope. If you banging in them, going to get killed.
Kids, stop. Y'all should know by now. Don't have sex. Yeah. Somebody's gonna kill you.
Played out so well. Like usually I'm not impressed by that's not why I go this for the killings and stuff, but they did that really well. Like with her hitting the wall and then sliding up the wall, and then Fod sitting there, he can't see what's going on. He's just watching this happen to her. And which was amazing because after that, my man was out the window.
One shoe missing.
No, he didn't have either shoe on.
No shoes?
No shoes.
Oh man, he stopped it. I thought he had one on.
I swear to God, like we see him just like they cut to her for a second and they cut back and he's gone. I swear he must have threw his gear out and then jumped out after it, because later on when Nancy's coming to school and he grabs her, pulls her to the bush. He's like, I didn't kill her. It wasn't me. And then he's got on his jacket,
he definitely saw undershirt,
jeans, and no shoes.
He was out here making fashion statements. Y'all just don't even understand.
He hadn't even went home yet, dude. Like that. Whoa. He probably didn't sleep either, man. But yeah, so that is interesting, man. We're dealing with that, and it's crazy. I guess in later movies in the series, you see how crazy it gets because basically, like you said, their first thought is, all right, psychiatric treatment, or you know, they send Nancy to the sleep center, you know, to get her analyzer. Where Freddy's trying to get at her again, they're telling you that this guy's coming in their dreams, and you're going to send her to a sleep place. Like,
see, that's the thing too, where I think that they set the tone with the role that we were going to get from all the parents, because Nancy does start name dropping, and they still act like they don't know.
They still act like they don't know.
You know yep. So she was able to put a face to the name, and they're still like, oh no, you know, stop drinking so much coffee.
You know what though? Maybe they're also a little wary of, you know, repercussions for them taking that vigilante.
That's
justice.
Already in place. You know? The repercussions are already in place. She's taking out your kids.
No, I'm saying from authorities. Maybe there's part of that too, to keep it under wraps. And you know, it's just this horrible thing that we did. You know, it's kind of a plot line on Queen Sugar right now. You know, where there's a body that was found on the farm, and they're trying to figure out, well, did our dad kill someone back in the day and just bury this shit here? You know, like you know, basically took this issue of justice into his own hands, and you know, so maybe there's a little bit of worrying about that, but also it's your kids, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And just to your point about the, you know, when we see Tina killing, that is one of my favorite, you know, scenes in this film.
Absolutely.
Because of, I mean, then when she's like on the ceiling, like the camera work, you know, they had to do the upside down camera thing to make it look like she was on the ceiling. But just ultimately throughout this film, the special effects as a whole still hold up.
Yeah,
now.
Yep. Pretty solid.
And like I was telling you, you know, yesterday when we spoke, I also like that before you get this big, gruesome, grotesque kill, you also kind of get a little bit of a build-up, like almost like the appetizer before the meal. You know, each time, like he doesn't just come out the cut and, you know, Fred, you know, Michael fires you, or just, you know, it's not like you get a little bit of forewarning that, hey man, you know, I ain't gonna get you tonight, but tomorrow night when you fall asleep,
but it's coming.
It's on. And so I got plans for you.
I think your co-host is trying to say something, Maria.
Yeah, Zazzy, you have some thoughts about this movie? This damn dog. She gotta be all up in everything all the time. Lord. But you know, one of the things that, you know, just to stay on the special effects for a second, I think that as a child of that time period, the combination of these special effects that were so different from what we were used to seeing in horror movies at the time, because everything was just somebody getting slashed up, right? You didn't get like that Tina scene. I remember distinctly, I lived in Langley Park at the time. I was like in the 5th grade. I remember the first time I saw that scene, like I couldn't even get the scream out because I had never seen something like that and it looked, especially to a little 9-year-old Maria, it looked so real and it was so different. And it's like you combine all of the work that they did with the special effects, because it was the makeup. I mean, my God, the way that Freddy looked, we've never seen anything like that.
You didn't even want to look at him. Like if your friend looked like that, you just talk to them on the regular phone. No
right. There's never a FaceTime. Like when you combine that with how well Wes Craven put this story together, and the influences that he drew on, because apparently like a lot of what he drew on from this movie came from real life. It was just a crazy combination that, in my opinion, to this day really hasn't been replicated in the introduction of a new like horror movie villain. Like I've seen a lot of horror movies and I cannot think of any character after Freddy, because technically he was the last of the big 3. You know, Michael was first, Jason was second, and then we got Freddy. To this day, think about it. There's not another like horror movie character. Candyman is close, all right, but not quite on the same level that they're just so iconic. And it has to do with how well, like that perfect cocktail that Craven had in this first movie.
Only other one I could think of is probably Chucky, but then he, you know.
Right, Chucky.
I was thinking
Pinhead. No, see, I don't feel like Pinhead has the same effect. Because, you know, he's got a team.
I mean, appearance, like, you know, as far as like that, to that makeup and stuff like that.
But
the makeup is amazing, but he's part of a team. So, you know, if you see Pinhead, he got his homies with him. It's never just Pinhead.
And his homies look crazier than he does.
film series is kind of an acquired taste, so people that might not fall into watching Hellraiser might be oblivious to who he is. But you know,
Right.
Freddy, you might, you know, the younger generations, they might not.
Freddy
Never have seen-
has transcended. He's
Yeah.
pop culture now.
Yeah,
Like,
Yep.
when you get to the point where the Fat Boys are making a song with you,
That's what I'm saying.
when you're showing up on TV shows, like I think they brought him back on what's that show, the Goldbergs. They did an episode recently.
Oh, did they? I've never watched the Goldbergs.
Oh, that show is great. It's a nostalgic sitcom. I love that show.
He even had a little
spin-off
spin-off character in Rick and Morty. Remember
That he did.
Scary Terry.
Oh, Terry. Yeah, Scary Terry. Oh, I love Scary Terry.
Yeah, he's so iconic. But just going back to what they do in this film, I love the way I'm getting a little muddy with my memory, but wasn't he a school employee? Or
that kind of comes out in later on in the series, but
Yeah.
he was a well-known, you know, pedophile, like child killer.
Yeah.
Like they expose that in this one, but later on down the line, they start to say.
But here's a fun fact that our viewers may not know about that. Initially, in the first one, like you get the hint that he's like a child molester, right? But as the series went on, Craven intentionally moved away from the molester aspect to more of just a child killer, because apparently during that time period, and I was too young then to know what was going on, but apparently there were a ton of like really like high popularity or whatever child molestation cases. So he was really concerned about being viewed like as if he was taking advantage of the situation. So there was a clear change, and it doesn't really hit in this one, obviously, but by the time that you get to 3, where they got the kids in the asylum, like it's definitely clear that they've shifted almost completely away from the idea that he was a child molester and just straight up made him a child killer.
like, I don't know, maybe I wasn't picking up the cues, but I've always never really got that distinction that he was a pedo. I just know that those were his victims. Like and even in these dream sequences, it never really gets to that sexual element. He does mess around a little bit sometimes, like in you know, with you know, the little phone where it's licking her face, you know what I'm saying? But it never got like where that was intent, because ultimately he kills them as soon as he can. It's like to me, it seemed like more it was, I'm going to make them fear me because I draw energy from that first. That's why he never outright kills them. He likes to tease them up and get them to the edge of the fear, and then boom, then he makes his move and slashes him to death. But that's interesting.
And to y'all's point, like they really, like Maria said, they strayed away from it so much. But then when we get the remake, that's when they kind of went back to it. You know what I'm saying? Like trying to, but like y'all said, if they didn't call him a pedo in the synopsises or in the backlogs things,
you wouldn't know
from this film. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you don't really the series, man. Like it's kind of interesting how they did that, because I know there is some interpretation when like I love Freddy, but it's like, yo, he's a pedo, and I'm like, I don't know, bro. That's not how it's been shown in the movies as I've been watching this whole series.
And it kind of seems like the same, like you said, what they do with Jeepers Creepers. Like he's feeding off the younger crowd because they're easier to scare, and then he gets more fear out of them than with the adults. So it doesn't seem like, he has a target group, but it doesn't seem for any.
See, the real problem here is that Freddy never watched Monsters, Inc. Because then he would have understood that he didn't need to, he would have gotten more energy if he made them laugh and then killed them. You know what I mean? He did it backwards. He did it wrong.
That's funny, because he definitely was a comedian by 5, 6.
Right.
I think
he should have been doing that from the break.
I think that might have been part of some more Craven manipulation, because initially he put in those wisecracks and jokes that gave Freddy this crazy appeal, but then later on, when I watched that, what was that? Recently they did an episode on him. What is that? The movies that made us, which is great. The first 4 episodes, they just dropped a new season on Netflix, are all the horrors. It's Halloween, it's Nightmare. I think they.
I got to go back and watch those.
Yeah, those are good. I just watched a couple of them. What else was the other? And Friday the 13th, they did that one too. But they pointed out that Craven was the one that threw in the wisecracks. But then as the series went on, it turned them off because now they demanded him, even though it was his invention. It felt like it made him too endearing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
kind of like
right, like y'all are not supposed to be cheering for him, and that's what ends up happening. Unlike, like, we were talking before we started recording about the new Halloween movie, right? Like, you're not particularly cheering for Michael Myers. It's just like, what's gonna happen? And to your point, Cory, like, he made him so endearing that we went into these movies not necessarily to be scared, but to laugh at whatever Freddy was going to say and see how messed up he was going to kill whoever he was killing in this movie. Like, he became like an anti-hero, and it's like, yo, this is a child murderer. Why is he so endearing to us? And
because we know his environment, and you never knew what to expect, because you knew, like, the sky's the limit with how he's going to kill people, because they established this dream world out the gate. What I mean?
And that leads to some awesome gags, like, just not even just gags, but some cool visual stuff, like when she's running in the house, after he has the little girl's face on it, and she's outside the door banging on the door, she starts running up the steps, and the steps turn. It looks like she's stepping in marshmallows. Like those are things you could do.
That was in the third one.
Nah, that's in this one. It's like, it's earlier in this movie. Like,
earlier on. Because I remember at the end it doesn't. Not for nothing, they said that they, with testament to the special effects again, that they used oatmeal. It was like oatmeal.
Really?
Because it looked like carbon. And they probably
I'm a fan of all of the digital effects. I really am, but they sometimes just cannot replace physical effects. It's
the creativity.
I'm sorry, that's like a conversation for another time, but it's like, that's to me part of the reason that so many of these movies, like pre-2002, are still so great and still have that rewatch value, because once those digital effects started getting super heavy, you could age a movie by just looking at the digital effects, right? Because you could see the how it's improved over the years. But with these physical effects, like, it is what it is. Like, it doesn't change, so it still looks so good.
And I mean, it's just think of the amount of energy and effort that went into that. This is had to be days of set time just preparing some of this stuff, and you have to get the shot right. Probably the
like I'm thinking of that that Johnny Depp's death. Like, that's got to be a first try.
Right.
You can't reset that room.
You only get a couple chances to set the room up like a geyser of blood.
You're not gonna get another take on that, dude. Whatever we get, we got to use that, And they just do so much fun stuff with it, like just the creativity, the face, like the scene where she grabs his face and pulls away. And
or just think of all the times when he was like he liked to hurt himself too. I think he's like
self-mutilation.
I was cutting his fingers off and the green blood coming out.
It just has so many cool things in it that just they still resonate, and the music as well, man.
Absolutely.
It just gives them a nice soundtrack. The 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. That's so
to this day. I want to hear that shit.
But one thing I was thinking about when I was watching this just really made me laugh. Like, as we get to the end, like when she's determined that she's gonna bring Freddy back, and she tells her pops the plan, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm down. I'll help you." And the way she sets her house up just makes me wonder when like Kevin McAllister was home alone, did he watch a little bit of Freddy to figure out, this is how we need to set the house up? I mean, because she had it going. I mean, cutting holes in the light bulbs, a sledgehammer over the door.
I forgot about
Listen.
Gunpowder in there.
Yeah, she turned her house into the trap for real.
But here, if you have to find like a bad thing about this movie, and I'll tell you, like, it is
of the teenagers.
Oh no, that was fantastic. We saw everybody was out there trying to get that Nancy special. Are you kidding me? No, like the movie is so great. It's hard to find something wrong. But if there is one thing I want to understand, because there was no internet and there was no Google. Nancy, how in the hell did you figure out how to do all this stuff? Because you were just a typical ass, like, popular teenage girl, and all of a sudden, you're building the very first Home Alone house. Like, where did these skills come from?
Maybe there was like an anarchy manual of.
I mean, no, because she definitely. I don't know what kind of Girl Scout club she was.
Right.
On her, all of the essentials for taking out a dream serial killer.
But
I mean, and then she even had the wherewithal to know to bring them back. Like, that's one thing I feel like where, one gripe I do have is when she is in the hospital for, getting, tests for the sleep situation. It doesn't give us that dream scenario when she comes back with the hat. Like, it's just like the hat is under.
That's a really good point. Yeah, you're right.
They pulled the blanket off and she's like, I got his hat. And look, it says Fred Krueger right here in the brim. Now I know I can bring him back out of the dreams. And I was like, wait a minute. Like, so then that's why every chance after that, her thing is, I'm going to bring him back. Then she brings Johnny Depp in to say, oh man, hit him with the bat. Then she talks to her pops, which yet again, when he's running through the house of horrors and getting hit with all the booby traps, how many times did she call for her father, who's right across the street? Dad, come on, stick with the plan. Dad, you know the plan. Dad, he's in here. Dad. It took Dad over, I think, 4 or 5 times she's screaming for him, and 3 officers to tell him, yo, your child, the one you're worried about, has been calling you for about 20 minutes through every book.
Damn, and nobody even thought to go check on the side. Yeah, it's crazy.
Listen, I mean, look, we know that mom and dad were not together no more. Maybe for a split second, he saw it as an opportunity to get rid of that child support bill. I'm just saying there was some hesitation there.
It's funny you say that because like at the end, Freddy, he does get to the mom, takes her out, and the dad finally gets there, and like Nancy Khan just side-eyes the dad and says, "You believe me now?" For all this, he had to take mom and everything, for you to finally believe me. Damn.
Yeah, I do like this ending though. Like,
love it
because it's one of those endings that gives you the ambiguity, but also we know that like mom's done.
Yeah,
and then she hops in the car with all her friends who like, yo, these motherfuckers dead too. So then you're like, oh man, it's another dream sequence, and then the hood goes over the convertible and it's got the Freddy colors. Everybody's like, whoa.
I think it's really cool too how they really tried to, like, I don't know how they distorted the color, but it has like this glow, like to give this impression of like a positive dream.
Yeah, it's almost like they put the smoke, like that's
yeah. It's
no reason on a sunny day. It's like a smoke
it's super
machine.
sunny, it's smoky, it's the house that looks like the doors painted a different color and everything is bright.
Everything is different. Yep.
Yeah.
I feel like the thing to me about it though too is I feel like they did a really, really good job in all of the Freddy movies. And I know we're talking about the first one, but kind of just thinking ahead, like in all of the other slasher type movies, you get the false sense that like the story is kind of over. You never get that with Freddy. Like you always know he's coming back and he's going to fuck something else up. Like always, there's never a question.
And that's very true. And they do it tastefully. Like you say, it doesn't feel like a force-fed sequel or an extension of the film in any way. It's always just like, we're going to give you more. It's like getting a buffet line of film. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, we're going to keep dishing it out. You just keep taking your fill. Stop eating when you want to. God bless.
I will say this though.
Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, so what are you guys' favorite in the series of Freddy movies?
My personal favorite is actually the second one because I saw the second one before the first one. I do love the first one, and I love the Dream Warriors. And then it kind of they start to dwindle to me. But the first 3, I hold them all in very high regard.
Yeah, I'm the same as Bob. I saw literally my mom was gone. I'll never forget this. We were like the neighbor's teenage daughter was babysitting and she had the great idea of, let's watch this horror movie. Your mom says all you kids watch horror movies because we did, and pop that joint in an empty house with everything turned off. Nothing. The only other movie that's ever scared me as a young person on the first watch, as much as the original Nightmare on Elm Street, is Candyman. Those are only 2 movies that completely terrified me the first time that I saw them. So I love the first one. But to Bob's point, the first 3 are gold. Absolute gold. After the first 3, it gets a little wonky. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little ashamed to admit this. I really like Freddy versus Jason. Only because it's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. But I don't really count that. Yeah, but I don't count that as technically a Freddy movie. So yeah, it's definitely just the first three of the series. Gold. You can't go wrong with any of them.
Go wrong. Yep. I'm a fan of Freddy vs. Jason too, but I feel like just, you know, because we all love the franchise so much and we grew up in that era, that it was just like it was something that we've all been waiting to see. That, I mean, I just think just because of the nostalgia and the urge to want to see them, you know, go head to head like that was what made it great to me. You know, even though I didn't like Freddy going on Matrix and everything at times.
I liked it though.
That was a little much.
Like, to me, that was Freddy in his element, but y'all gave him too much money to, you know what I'm saying? So it got like extra crazy.
Oh, they were like somebody just hit the lotto at the strip club. Like, just throw money at all of it and just let's see what works.
And also, I think another thing that kind of just made it a little off is like by that point we also had the infusion of the computer graphics. So it was just, you know, it was a little less of, you know, what we were used to seeing in the past films that made him so great.
Yeah. For me, I definitely think it's Dream Warriors, followed closely by Part 2, man. Part 2 was them, to me, signified them really leaning into the comedy of him. Like, he had the singers in Part 2, man. But then Part 3 was just awesome. Because I love that the aspect that the kids teamed up early. They didn't just get, you know, they did, a lot of them did get picked off with. Yeah. But that moment where they felt that empowerment was like, you know what, we can fight this guy. And that was just so awesome to me, where they even in the dream world, they became their best versions of that they wanted. It's almost like when you created your own video game character, you know? You just go all out. It just had a really dope story, and like I love that one.
And Part 3, that's when we really started seeing how wild the kills could potentially start getting.
Yep.
You know, it was simple. It was razor slashes. It was someone, you know, sleeping, looked like he's like the Invisible Man. But in Part 3, it's the ventriloquist thing going on. The other chick that had the issues with the needles. Like, instead of a glove, he's got the needle. You know, so
so good.
You're in for it now. They are really pressing the boundaries.
Yeah, he really leaned into that to that fears, the stuff with him, man. But the part where it started to fall off to me, because like even like what happened was, you know, the first one definitely terrified me. Part 2, it started getting a little bit more fun to me. I guess I was and then the rest were fun. But then I think we hit Part 4, and it might have started like they might have started running to the wall. I think that's the one where they had that big mental institute and that weird neighborhood. And then he started, I think there was one point where he jumped in the video game. And
I think it was a comic book strip.
I can't remember.
I think that was the one that went through comic book strip.
That was terrible.
Like got the lightning bolt on his chest.
Watch Part 5. Was that the Dream Child?
That's Dream Child.
And then I think that one might have been a little bit more tolerable, because what I like about that, when we get more into the lore, like the fact that that his mom was a nun and that worked at a mental institute and got locked in the room with the crazies and was raped like repeatedly. And that's how he's born. They don't know who his father was, and it was crazy, dude. Yeah, that was wild. but yeah, I think it did add. I got to rewatch it again to see how it unfolds, man, because I don't remember much from it. But overall, it's just a dope series. This is a dope movie, and like it's definitely a classic, man. They definitely did their job on this, man.
And just while we're on the subject, real quick, I think one thing as the later films started to give us the sense that the franchise might be just kind of coming to an end, I think they did a great job coming back with the new Nightmare. Right? You know, they gave us a new look Freddy, and just yet again tried to recreate the lore and giving us the sense that the actors were being haunted now by Freddy in a sense, you know, because
I thought that concept was really, really interesting. My only hope, though, because of just what's going on in Hollywood right now, and the fact that they're just trying to make, like, there's another Expendables movie coming out, for crying out loud. Like, they're trying to remake and recapture like this glory from back in the day. This is one of the original Nightmare on Elm Street is one of those movies that I never want to see rebooted. I never want to see redone. Like, it worked for Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'll give Rob Zombie all the credit in the world. I actually enjoy his version of the first one way more than the original, right? But this, is as close to a perfect horror movie as you can get in its original state.
Yeah.
Do not mess with it. Do not try to redo it. We don't need all the CG and all that other. Leave it alone.
Well, they already tried and failed.
I haven't even watched that.
The remake, it's terrible. It's the dude who played Rorschach in the Watchmen.
Right. No, that movie was horrible. But mark my word, especially with the financial success that this Halloween thing that they're doing has made, do not be surprised if they try it again.
Oh, I wouldn't. There's not much they can do to surprise me. Like I was for a couple weeks ago, I found out they're remaking The Lost Boys, and I was like, "What? Why?
Why?
Exactly. Why? You know,
that's the thing that sucks to me because like it's easier for them to get with a name or a brand that's already been established because they know that that's going to at least get half the audience there. You know, I think that's why we got this trend. It's an unfortunate trend, but you know, it is what it is.
It seems like the main focal point is to try to reshape it to make it more modern. Like,
right.
They're just putting it out again to make money.
You got to throw the internet in there. You got to throw cell phones in there.
Yeah. I don't need any of that. Leave it for what it is.
Some of these things that they add on to make it more relevant to the time now really takes away from what made the movie what it was back then. It's because of the limited resources. It's because of the lack of.
I could settle with a Lost Boys remake if it was set in the 80s. You know, that would make sense.
Nope, I don't even want it then. Leave it alone. You know what? If you guys want some new ideas, it's 2021. We've realized that you can make movies about different cultural perspectives and make money. So you have so many different folklores of monsters, creatures, entities across all of the various groups. How about we tap into some of those stories that we've never seen, never heard, and do that? Give us a good movie about skinwalkers. Do something about, I mean, chupacabras would be kind of lame, but like there's all of these other things out there.
I had a cool one with recently where it kind of reminded me of Lost Boys and Spirit so much, and you got that vampires versus the Bronx, you know, and that was enjoyable. You know, it was a nice, you know,
but
little adventure.
It didn't seem like a remake, you know what I mean?
Nah, yeah.
Right.
And like Maria's saying, like there's all these untapped avenues. Or how about this? You know, like if you really want to get into that wheelhouse, sit back, you know, do whatever you need to do to kind of enhance your mind state and use your imagination. Come up with
there's a novel concept, a new idea from your imagination.
Try to regurgitate.
That's communism, Bobby. What are you doing?
I mean, it kind of sucks that we only really got Robert Englund, and I think he did the there was another movie he did. Was he Phantom of the Opera?
He was in one version of the Phantom of the Opera.
And there was there a Wishmaster?
House of a Thousand Maniacs or something.
Yep.
He did do that, but I didn't really like that one too much. It was too.
Here's the problem that he's had. Everything else that he's done in the genre, because he's done a couple of things, you can tell he wants to be Freddy. Right. Yeah. And it's like, but this role isn't Freddy, so we need you to be somebody else. But that's the problem when you're like the first person to do this iconic thing.
I would like to see him get like a hosting gig. Like he should be able to just get on once a week, throw on his Freddy makeup and host like Joe Bob Briggs.
Well, see, but the thing is,
you know, that way we're getting more Freddy, but not necessarily a whole film, and he could still have the fun of being that character and just do funny.
Listen,
you know, intro.
We're about to make Shudder and Sci-Fi owe us money because I'll take your idea and raise it. Have Freddy do full on be Freddy hosting a creep show like show where he's doing an intro to short horror anthologies and then giving us a little wrap up in the end.
Something kind of like what Mr. Vincent was in Fright Night.
Yes. Yeah. Elvira, same concept, but with Freddy.
And the thing is about Freddy, since he wasn't a masked assailant, if even if he's at the age now where the makeup might hurt his face, he looks like Freddy without the makeup on. So you're all right. He can still do the voice, do the jokes.
Think about if you did something like that, he could host, and he has a set like the Crypt Keeper. He could do probably like host in one day, shoot the all of that shit for like 5
one season. Yep.
In one day, if you rep that. Yeah, it's we might. How do you pitch shit? Like, just there, yo.
Right. The whole internet's just got our idea, and then watch. We're gonna see next year Shudder announcing that shit.
This is timestamp,
and we got no money from it.
Yeah, well, I guess we could wrap this up, man. I'll just say go see this film if you haven't seen it. It's
Absolutely
crazy. I want to rewatch it, but I saw it on. I had to buy it on Vudu, but it wasn't too crazy of a price. And they got the sequels on there at a great deal too. But also want to point out, check out the Movies That Made Us, the new season. They just dropped on Netflix, and the first 3 episodes, like I said, it's Halloween, it's Friday the 13th, and Nightmare on Elm Street, and they go through the history of these films getting done. Also, they got this season is crazy. They got RoboCop and Aliens coming to Nightmare Before Christmas. So there's some good stuff on this season, But that's it.
Yeah, I would like that. I would strongly suggest watch it, but just do yourself a favor. If you buy it on DVD, get the second and third one as well. Or if you pay the first one via streaming, just get the second and third one.
You got to do 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
you don't have to go beyond that.
No,
but you got to do 1, 2, 3.
The first one will gear you to want to see the second and go for it with the third. So just it's a trifecta. It's not just a one and done kind of film.
Any final thoughts, Maria?
I mean, this is fun, y'all. I'm so happy. First off, thank y'all for accommodating my schedule because I'm a mess and we've been trying to get this done. So thank you so much for having me on. This was an absolute blast. As I've told Cory, Bobby, I'm gonna tell you as well. Anytime I'm a message away because I could talk about these classics all day long, every day. They shaped, who I am to this day. And no, I'm not going around like killing babies or anything, but like my perception of the world was absolutely shaped by all of these great movies that I watched as a kid. So having an opportunity to chat it up, and especially with you two, like 2 of my favorite podcasters in the whole damn world, like I'm always here for it, man. Thank you guys so much.
Yes, we appreciate you coming on, and it's shared thought. Like I said, these are the films that helped shape us and mold us into the individuals we are today. So
also tell the people how they can find you and your concentrated crew.
Yeah, so like I said earlier, y'all, you can find us. We're literally on everything. We're The Concentrated Podcast. We do a bunch of mini shows in there. We talk about Marvel. We talk about Star Wars. One of my co-hosts and some friends, they talk about all the British shows. So it's like literally we talk about just about everything except really horror movies. So that's why I love coming on here. But you can find us on social media. We're at Concentrated Pod. You can find me on social media at Maria Loves MMA on pretty much everything. And we drop new episodes normally on Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. We ordinarily have a new episode, so definitely check us out.
Yeah, that's what's up. And this is Cory. You catch me at Monkey Blood on Twitter, Instagram. Follow the podcast at From Canopy on Twitter and at From the Canopy on Instagram. And you can email us FromTheCanopyPod@gmail.com.
This is Bobby Blockbuster. You can catch me on Instagram at BobbyBlockbuster118.
Yeah, that's what's up. All right, folks, we'll catch you next time. We don't know what the next film is, but we're going to have something for you because we're definitely, leaning into the horror, for the
I got some ideas. We can chop this up. I got some ideas.
Yeah, that's what's up. But we'll be back soon, folks, man. Subscribe to the channel because YouTube is the only way you can get this series, It's going to be a YouTube exclusive. It's not coming out on the regular podcast feed. But yeah, we out of here. Catch you guys next time, folks. Peace.